Welcome back to the mini-series Europeans in Taiwan, where me and Momo are meeting up and have a chat with some of the most interesting Europeans in Taiwan. This series is funded by the European office here in Taiwan, and this time I am here in French Tech Taiwan office with Leticia Lim.
So my name is Leticia Lim, and I'm the co-president of French Tech Taiwan. When I was in my business school in France, I had the chance to do an internship here in a French bank, and this is how I discovered Taiwan. I spent 6 months here, so I knew that I will come back one day or another, and I've been in Taiwan since 2008. Start here with L'Oréal, so the French cosmetic company. So I actually, after graduation, I was actually hired in France, and then got the chance to be expatriated in Asia. And actually, myself and my husband, now boyfriend at that time, we loved it so much that we decided to build our family here.
If you go back to like the first time when you first came here to Taiwan, do you remember like your first impressions of Taiwan?
I didn't have much expectation when I arrived.
Yeah,
so
that sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, that lived because actually in France at that time nobody knows so much about Taiwan.
Yeah, I came to Taiwan 2010.
Okay.
So you beat me by 2 years.
So I fall in love with this little, island, secret island, unknown, from tourists, and with this combination of tradition and modernity, with open-mindedness of people. So I was really surprised, positively surprised. I found the people here very open-minded and very genuinely nice to foreigners. I honestly think that for foreigners, when they want to settle down in Asia, that's one of the little secret places. That's the beauty, of the things as well, in the sense that when you don't know much, you come very open and you discover, and then you're just amazed about, how the people are. So I don't want it to be too much known as well, because then it's not secret anymore.
Maybe a sensitive question, but would you say that Taiwanese are more friendly than French people?
That's a tricky one.
Okay. Next question.
At first impression, for example, I remember I got lost in the street. And everything being in Chinese, and I could not speak Chinese or read Chinese at that time, you feel really lost. But here, I think that if people, I remember one time I was looking at my map, at that time was paper, like a map.
Yeah.
And then people just stop, look at you, and say, hey, do you need help? And honestly, that, I'm not sure you'll get that everywhere in France.
Living here for over a decade.
Yes.
How would you describe living in Taiwan for a foreigner who has never been to Taiwan in one sentence?
It's kind of a glimpse of Europe in Asia. You don't feel overwhelmed. So I think that's one of the elements. The second thing is the size of Taiwan and the diversity of the landscape makes that you could, by 2 hours train, 45 minutes flight, really get from beaches to mountains to very diversified landscape, which is also like similar to France. France, you go from Paris to Marseille, 2 hours, 3 hours train, and you completely change, the sceneries, right? Or you go to Normandy, 1 hour drive, then you are, countryside. And the third thing I would say is the food. In France, people love eating. So the way they eat differently. It's more formal in France, when you want to have the proper eating. Whereas here,
it takes forever to eat in France. It's like you sit down and then 5 hours later.
This is the French lifestyle. So you like it or not, that's unique. So they love food. So I can tell here that people like eating.
That was way longer than one sentence, but I liked it, so I'll let you keep that that whole thing. Other than the love for food, do you feel like there are some other similarities between Taiwan and France, or Taiwanese and French people?
All the outdoor activities, hiking, trekking, surfing. French people, they love holidays. Who don't love holidays?
Doesn't like holidays?
People, they have holidays, summer holiday, winter holiday, they go skiing, summer holiday, they go, to the seaside. So I think those, outdoor, activities, I see Taiwanese people enjoying it more and more. And going to fine dining as well. I see there's more and more French restaurants, opening here, very nice bakeries, salon de thé, the afternoon tea places, a lot of coffee shop.
Nothing done, just eating and drinking coffee all day long.
Chit-chatting, debating about politics, disagreeing.
Complaining, disagreeing.
Disagreeing, debating.
Okay, there is a difference. Now looking back, when you take these 15 years of Taiwanese experience. Is there anything that you wish you would have known before coming to Taiwan?
I think the people. If I knew that people would be so open-minded, so likable, lovable people, I think definitely I would probably, even during my studies, ask for being part of an exchange program, spending 6 months in a Taiwanese university, but also because of the quality of the education here. So definitely looking back, that would be one of the things that probably would have even changed my life.
As a European, we of course have different stereotypes about other European countries, like France. Swedish stereotype about France is that you really have this unique lifestyle. To me, as somewhat, I would like to see myself as a very efficient Scandinavian. Can you just try to explain to me the French way of life and try to convince me why it's better than the Swedish effectiveness?
If I would translate that into the French way, it would be productivity. Doing, the same job in a shorter time, so that you have free time. Time to meet friends, and have a nice meal, a nice chat. So I think that French art de vivre is actually reflected by, the fact that people like, to go to museum, arts, go for a nice meal, spend some time. Maybe you guys think it's 5 hours, but actually not really 5 hours, but have a nice meal. So take time to have a nice meal, So I think this art de vivre is definitely very unique in France. And the food, honestly, definitely, I think people know us for our gastronomy, so luxury, very premium Michelin stars restaurant. But what I love the most in France is, of course, I like to go there and enjoy this kind of meal. But I think the really nice one is when you drive in the countryside and then you stop on all those little restaurants owned by local people and you discover, their one specialty dish that only them, can do, the best. And even you go to a street-style restaurant, maybe you cannot get that dish. Maybe this region is famous for mushroom, the other one is famous for cheese. It's just for people who are tourists, that is just amazing, you to discover all those little jewels, everywhere when you drive, on the countryside.
You made me very hungry right now talking about the French cuisine now. If someone watching this video now, here from Taiwan, and they want to come and visit the lovely country of France, what do you think is something, first of all, that they should check out, they cannot miss when they're in France? And is there anything else that they should think about before going?
Paris is in such a small place. You can get so many variety of, monuments, architecture, design, art, museums. So you definitely, I would still advise, even it look like a bit cliche, to still spare a few days in Paris, right? Even walking in Montmartre, I love walking in Montmartre. Montmartre is a place, for artists, and it's like a little village within Paris, and the roads are up and down, so you just walk around. You feel like, because the buildings are not very high, so you don't have modern building there, it's just like 1 or 2 floors houses, so you feel like you can touch the sky almost. Stop at the coffee or stop for a big salad hollandaise, big French typical, salad with the bacon, and all those
and
stuff.
The croissant and the
potato,
baguette.
So just stop and walk around. After that, it depends what you like. You like seaside, you like countryside, you like mountain. You have plenty of choice, right?
I'm a snowboarder myself, so I would highly recommend check out the Alps during winter time. But actually, you don't have to go all the way to France if you want to experience art de vivre. It's getting better.
Art de vivre.
Or at least if you want to experience the French culture, because you have been kind enough to invite me here to French Tech Taiwan office. Can you explain this in a little bit more detail, what this is?
So French Tech Taiwan is a non-profit association, and we are part of a large international community of French Tech hub around the world, 120 communities. France as a country have been trying very hard to build France as a startup nation. So focusing on technology, focusing on building, the next generation of tech champion. Wow. And all of us are volunteered people, passionate about bridging technology. So our mission in French Tech Taiwan is to foster exchange, to connect the two ecosystems in terms of technology and innovation. So Taiwan and France. So helping French startups to know more about Taiwan if they want to come and set a company here. Helping Taiwanese, startup, Taiwanese investors also to know more more about France, make them discover the technology ecosystem in France, make them also realize that the picture sometimes they have of France is a lot of administration, you pay a lot of tax there. All those have changed. So
Really?
Yeah, or it's trying very hard to change.
You have been in Taiwan for the last, they say 14 years? Maybe it's just exactly the same as it was 14 years ago.
Next to French Tech Taiwan, I also have my real job. My real job is I'm CEO of a French startup. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So I have the headquarters in France, so I can tell that somehow, somewhere, especially with COVID, there's a lot of things that has been done to facilitate administration.
Is this like a French organization who is just trying to, lure startups and like international talent from Taiwan to France, or is there any like cooperation between Taiwan government, for example?
It was launched by a bunch of volunteered French entrepreneurs in Taiwan who actually got backed up by the French office here, so that's the France flag, but also by the MOST, which is the Ministry of Science and Technology. So that's a Taiwanese flag.
Okay,
so actually,
so they know that you're trying to get like Taiwanese talent to start up like French startups.
Yeah, or Taiwanese, government also want to encourage, right, Taiwan to open up, and Taiwan Tech Arena is actually under MOST, the Ministry of Science and Technology, management as well. So it's a cooperation way.
So again, back to the European stereotypes, it feels like there's a lot of like language barriers, because my impression is that French people don't like to speak English.
I think that's another cliche. Like all the cliche, they are grounded somewhere, right? So I think that gives me a chance to actually not erase that fully, but just to make people aware that, especially in the tech space, English is the common language. Actually, today, if you want to work in a French startup in France, you don't need to speak French. If you want to study in France, you don't need to speak French. So there's actually a lot of, in the past years, a lot of programs, that has been, launched for students, like Taiwanese students going to France and they can study in English, and access to the best of French education still. Now, of course, if you want to experience the art de vivre à la française,
then you need to speak French.
You don't need, but I think that's very nice because that's connect you even further. And also, we're trying to facilitate international talent and Taiwanese talent to land in France with the French Tech visa. If you got the job, your family is well taken care of. In few days, your family is taken care of. People recommend you school, for your children. You can get the visa in 2 or 3 days. It's free. It's diploma agnostic, so we are not judging, which degree you have, etc. As long as you pass the recruitment process and you got this job offer, you can activate the French Tech visa and you can stay there for 4 years.
Wow.
I think it's all this is to facilitate actually international talent to go and experience France. So of course the art de vivre, but also France as a startup nation.
If people then would learn French before going to France, what is like the most important sentence in French they should know before going to France?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, au revoir, merci. Comment ça va?
Comment ça va?
Because that's a way to try to connect with somebody, from the beginning, say hello, and first thing you ask people when you arrive in the office, I say, okay, hey.
How does it work? Can they just come here and like ring the doorbell and say, I want to build a startup, or how does it work?
Almost as simple as what you just described. So it's not
doorbell.
Complicated at all.
You have to knock, that's it.
But definitely there's, 9 accelerators here. So accelerators are places where if you as a company, as a startup, or as a person want to start a company, you pitch to join the program, then you have free access to all the facility in the heart of Taipei, for free. Okay, if you're part of the program. And you are part of this, community of entrepreneurs from so many nationalities. You can exchange best practice, get tips. So it's really an open space. One of our iconic initiative is actually behind my back. It's the French Tech job board, where actually it's a platform for any talent who have been interested to know more about opportunities of working for a French tech company, either in France or somewhere else in the world, in Taiwan of course, but everywhere in the world, search for their dream job, apply from there. So that is also one of the initiatives we've been launching and pushing over the last 3 years to try to encourage this mixity of talent. So I welcome you guys, to, if you have spare time and interest.
No spare time, but I am very interested. But if you also want to come here and check this place out in person, you of course have all the information down in the description. And of course, if you want to know more about French Tech Taiwan, France, or other European countries, or the European office here in Taiwan, Taiwan. You can of course also check out the European Economic and Trade Office social media, both Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you go there, you also have a chance to win all these amazing European in Taiwan products. Just go there and follow their instructions on their social media. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Lukas. Starts with L as in like, ends with S as in subscribe. Please do both, and see you all in the next one.